Hey, hope you're having a great day. I just want to talk a little bit about my Mini Cooper R56 base model. It's a 2007. About the transmission. So, if you're not aware, these R56 and about approximately these year frame of 2007 to maybe 2010, 2011-ish. The transmissions aren't that great. It's automatic. This is what is one? I think this one is it a 5-speed? I think it's a 5. Okay. But anyway, it's an Aisin transmission, and it's not one of those CVT transmissions, a constant velocity or whatever. The ones that don't have clutches. This one has clutches. It's literally pretty much like a Toyota or a Volkswagen transmission, but they tend to have a lot of problems with the valve body. It's basically a kind of like a module, not electronic, a semi-electronic. It's like a bunch of plates put together with a bunch of passages and springs and balls. And what it does is it helps the transmission know when to shift and also how much pressure to apply to the clutches and that type of thing. And they also use electronic solenoids to open and close valves and that type of thing. So it's semi-controlled by electronics, but it's physically controlled by passages with springs and balls, just like I said. What happens is that these valve bodies, they tend to get dirty, gummed up, solenoids start having problems, things like that. And part of it is that BMW Mini Cooper on these transmissions, they call it lifetime fluid, meaning that they say you don't have to change the fluid, which is not true. You really need to change the fluid about every, I'm going to say every 60 to 80,000. I mean, if you hit 100,000 and then you change it, it's like, well, it's better to do it right around 60 or 80. So when the valve bodies start giving problems, then it starts putting more wear on the clutches because there's not as much pressure. You have hard shifts, clunking, all kinds of things. And there's also physical parts that can break in there, but the transmissions, like I say, they're not that great. They're okay. They use paddle shifters and that type of thing, besides just being automatic. So you can kind of manually shift the gears in a way. I don't ever use it. I just keep it in automatic. It has a sport mode, which means that it has a little bit more aggressive shift pattern, that it shifts earlier, gives more like torque, and makes the car feel like it's more powerful and that type of thing. But anyway, when these transmissions start getting older, I've already had to replace this transmission once, and I did it myself. It's not that much fun, let's put it that way. It's you have to not only obviously jack up the engine and remove all the stuff from the top and remove mounting brackets, but you have to remove subframes and axle shafts and all kinds of things, and separate the transmission from the engine. It gets difficult. But it's as a driveway type mechanic, your home DIY type of situation. Anybody can do it. You don't really need that many specialized tools. A few, but not much. And you need just some patience and preferably smaller hands. But anyway, I did replace this transmission, and you can find one on eBay for about between $400 and $800. Maybe, it depends what you want to get. And you know, shipping's gonna be shipping's gone up, but it's like, let's put it at, I don't know, 100, 200 bucks or something. Or if you go pick it up yourself. I live out here in California and NorCal, so a lot of these transmissions, at least the ones I bought, they come from like Stockton. But anyway, at the end of the day, I bought one for 400 bucks. It showed up, was delivered on a pallet, and I didn't do it all at once. I kind of broke it up a little bit, and it wasn't really great weather. It was kind of more in the winter, so I probably spent, you know, 3 weeks, 3 weekends working on it. Now that I have it in, and I've probably been driving the car for about 3 years, I've noticed that, and I've changed the fluid. And that's the other thing. You don't have to use this BMW Mini fluid, which is really expensive. There is a cheaper brand that they use in like Toyotas that is just as good. And I've bought it from a transmission shop on eBay that does a lot of these European cars, and I've had no problems with it. I forgot what the name of the brand is. I'll pull a picture up, try to provide that. But one thing I wanted, this is the main point of this whole video. Oops, I got it. Is that you want to get that Lucas automatic transmission additive. It's about a quart. And when you do your next change, what you're going to do, and I'm going to make a video on this, because I got to actually do my Countryman's transmission. I just did this little car's. But literally, if you look at the instructions that people and videos, people saying how to do the transmission on these cars, they're going to tell you that you got to jack it up, you got to drain it, you remove the pan, you're going to replace the filter, you're going to put the pan back in with a new gasket, new filter. There at the bottom of the filter, there where the drain plug is, you put an Allen wrench in there, and you unscrew, and it's like this plastic piece that sticks up inside there. It's got a little hole, and then it's got it sticks up higher. And what it's designed for is that after you refill the transmission, you would remove that little plastic insert that's inside where the drain plug goes. And then you would, from underneath, you pump the fluid up a specific amount. And then you would go and put that other little piece in there. You would put the drain plug back in, and then the car perfectly level. You heat up the car, start it up, and you get it to a specific temperature. You can monitor it with like an ODB2 or you know, one of those heat measuring guns, or a thermocouple, and get it up to a specific temperature. And then you open up that drain plug with that little insert, properly inserted all the way, and any excess will drain out. Or you pump some in there until you start seeing a little bit of excess draining out. It's a big ordeal. Okay, it's a lot of work. What I found is that if you know that your car has not leaked, okay, you don't have any leaks, maybe it was this is the first time you're doing it, or you did it yourself and you did it right the first time, whatever. Okay, you know there's a proper amount in there. What I do is I get a plastic clear rectangle type of container, or whatever you want to get. Put it under the car with the car front jacked up. Put it under there. Open up that drain plug. Pull out that little plastic insert with your Allen head screw, wrench. Let it drain. Do not dispose of fluid. Let it drain all the way. Put your little thing back in there. That little insert. Put the drain plug back in there. Wipe it off. Make sure all the fluid, this is very important, all the fluid is in that container. Take that container, get yourself a Sharpie marker, mark the level. Mark the level, pour it out into another container, take a shop towel, wipe it out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that Lucas automatic transmission additive. It's about a quart. You're going to pour it in there. Then you're going to get your, basically it's Toyota transmission fluid. It's another brand. Like I say, I'll put a picture in there. You're going to add some to that Lucas container. Put the cap on, shake it up to get whatever residuals left in there. Pour it in there. Then you're going to do is pour the rest of you're going to pour your transmission fluid, your new transmission fluid, until you get to that line, okay? And then put just a dash, little extra, all right? And that's for any little bit of drippage when you're trying to get in there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go down to your local O'Reilly or AutoZone or whatever, and you're going to get what they have for gear oil for like a rear end of a car. It's like, you know, it's gear oil. It's like, I don't know, 120 weight, 80 weight. Well, I forgot what it is. You're going to get one of those. It's in a bag. It's a little bit more expensive. It's about maybe 14 bucks, but it's a 1-quart bag with like a screw-on tip where you can cut off the tip. And what it's designed for is that in a differential, you remove the drain plug, you drained it, you put that back, the fill hole, you open that up, and then you take this bag underneath there, cut that tip, stick the tip inside where the fill hole is, and then you squeeze the bag like a cake decorating thing. You squeeze all the fluid with your hand into there, and then you would put whatever you need to do in there, how much, and put the little fill plug back in. Well, what I do is because I changed differential fluid in my Porsche, I have like 3 of these bags that are empty. So I took one of them, and I went and I took some of the old transmission fluid that I drained out of the car after I already had marked it, and I poured it in that bag. I put the cover on, the fill nozzle on there, and then I shook it up really good, poured it out, did it like 3 times because that gear oil has a little bit of a sulfur in it, so it had a little sulfur smell. So I want to shake it up and kind of get all that out because it's kind of a thick oil. So that will kind of mix in there, and kind of you're flushing out that. So now you have this empty container, bag container with this nozzle screw-on tip, and you're going to open it up. You get yourself a little funnel, and you're going to take your brand new fluid that you already poured in that container, marked to the line, and you're going to pour it in there to fill it up. You can do this a couple times, so, you know, don't overfill it. Just put it maybe 3/4 full or whatever. Put your little plastic filler thing on. You want to make sure it's not cut excessively deep, but, you know, enough. You want it so that it's going to fit into that. When you take out that drain plug from the bottom of your transmission pan, you're going to take it and you're going to hold it snug, that tip snug in there, uptight with one hand, and you're going to use your other hand or both when you're pushing on it, and you're going to squeeze that fluid right up into that pan, okay, right in there. And then as soon as you're done, you're going to just take one finger, and you're going to, as you remove it, you're going to put your finger right there, whichever finger you want to put there. Then you're going to go and you're going to temporarily take your drain plug, and you're going to screw it in there, get on there temporarily. Then you're going to go and you're going to do the same thing with the remaining amount of fluid that you have in that container that you had marked the line and poured out the old fluid and filled it up to that line with a little extra with the Lucas in there. And you're going to get that all into your transmission pan, squeezing it in there. And then when you're done, put your finger in there, take that little plastic tube, and then you're going to move your finger real quick. You obviously want a little drain pen under there to catch that so it's not going all over your driveway, and stick it in there. And usually you can just have your Allen head wrench right on that thing, so you can remove your finger, stick it there, tighten it up where it's supposed to go, which it'll just dead out. You'll know when it's hit the top there where it needs to be, because it won't let you turn anymore. And don't manhandle it. Just get it in there, twist it until you can't twist it anymore, gently. Take your little drain plug, make sure it's got its washer on there, stick it in there, tighten it up, and you're good to go, because you've put in exactly the same amount of fluid that went out, but you substituted your Lucas additive for part of the fluid. And I'll tell you why you don't need to take the drain, why you don't need to take the the automatic transmission pan off the bottom of the transmission, and why you don't need to change the filter. Because the filter is just a screen. It's not a filter, it's just a screen. I've pulled these off before. They're not like, unless your transmission is completely crashed and broke a bunch of metal parts, there's nothing in it. It's just a screen. It's like what you drain your pasta in the kitchen, you know, or whatever, you know. It's like a strainer. It's just a strainer. That's what it is. It's not a pleated filter or anything like that. So there's no point. And any little bit of residual stuff that's at the bottom of the pan, you really don't want to remove that anyway. You want a little bit of grit inside that transmission, or your clutches are going to slip and they're going to burn up eventually. I had a friend, and he told me this, and this is years ago. He had like a Chevy square body, had automatic transmission, and he religiously, I forgot how many, every 30,000 or whatever miles, changed that fluid. And he would take the pan off, and he'd perfectly clean the inside of the pan, put the new filter, put the new gasket, put on there, put your new fluid in. Well, that transmission prematurely failed because the clutches slipped and burned up, because they're just what there wasn't. You need to have a little bit of grit left in there. Believe me, you need a little bit of the grit in there for those clutches. You just got to have a little bit in there. So I've pulled those pans off. They're not really that dirty. And plus, the other thing is that half your transmission fluid is still in the torque converter. You're not actually draining all the fluid out of your transmission. Part of it's in there. And that's why, like, say your car's got 60 or 80,000 miles on it. You want to do this change with your fluid, just like I said. And then you want to drive the car. And then maybe, I don't know, 5,000 miles later, the fluid's not that expensive. Drain it out and do the same thing again. You know, so you're replacing a little bit more fluid from that's mixed now with the torque converter, because it shares the same fluid, but part of it's stuck in that torque converter. But if you just want to do it one time, the fact that you've got that Lucas transmission additive and some new fluid in there, you're probably good to go. Okay, but I will tell you that this transmission was kind of acting up. It was kind of doing a little bit of weird stuff and everything. And I just did what I told you. I changed my fluid, and I substituted that 1 quart of the Lucas automatic transmission additive, and it was night and day. It really smoothed out the transmission. It got rid of any weird stuff. So yeah, that stuff really works. It works really well. So if you got a Mini Cooper like I do, all right, and you've got some miles on it, and you're not feeling like replacing that transmission, and your transmission still works, definitely change that fluid and use the Lucas additive, and you will notice quite a difference on there. And like I say, if you take out the same amount of fluid that you put in, you don't have to do all that crazy stuff about going and getting the car perfectly level, running the car till it's at that specific temperature, opening up that drain plug, seeing if any little bit of drips, putting a little bit more in there, and then making sure it's dripping out. Because what it is that plastic little tube, you screw it in, it gets to a certain level, and it's designed for when the car is perfectly level and the fluid expands the correct amount at the specific temperature that the engine's at, that any excess will dribble out from that tube. Or if you're a little bit low, you add it a little bit more until it just barely starts dribbling out. That's really what it is. But to avoid all that, if you put back in the exact amount you took out, maybe with just a little extra dash in case, like say when you have your finger on that drain plug, well, you're going to add the remainder, or you're finally putting in that little plastic fill tube in there and the drain plug, you just put a little extra dash, then you're going to be good to go. All right, but I will be making a video demonstrating what I just told you about on my Countryman. And in fact, it's right there. And then this is the one that we just did, that I was talking about. All right, God bless you. You have a great day, and we'll get back to you in the next video.